2, 3. Hey, folks, and welcome to
something very wrong.
Perhaps, but welcome to it anyway. Welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Won't listen. Can't listen. Can't allow you to control my mind.
Well, Charlie's not here, but I am here, and I am your host.
Worshipped, yearned for.
All of those things.
You know,
But you can call me Jimmy.
You look like Nicolas Cage's Big Daddy from Kick-Ass.
I like Nicolas Cage, but you can call me Jimmy. And
also,
with me,
if you're a superhero wearing a mask, why are you using your real name as your avatar name?
Oh, we're just having fun on a podcast here tonight.
Oh yeah, no, very nice. Oh, I should have noticed those weren't on the wall behind you.
We're getting to it tonight here.
That's good. I like this.
All right, folks. Here we go.
Are you gonna be cosplaying as Wolverine this entire show?
Until the end of October.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't know what you mean by cosplaying as Wolverine. My name is Jimmy.
Okay, I'm gonna cosplay as a sad graphic designer who's too busy to live a life.
You play it well. With me, as always, is my co-host.
He's a monster. I hate all that he is.
But we're glad he's here. Jungle Jubilandre.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Mr. Howlett. I appreciate the invitation. Or shall I call you Patch, perhaps?
Patch? No. I don't know what you mean.
Or Logan?
We're definitely not the same person.
Patch no? Okay. Patch and you are not? No? The eye patch is oh, I see. He wears an eye patch. You do not. Of course.
Clearly he wears an eye patch. And
clearly you're different people.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize, sir.
Kind of like how that Superman fellow just puts on glasses.
Still one of the best. Are you familiar with the Tick cartoon or live action TV show with Patrick Warburton from like the early 2000s, late 90s?
I am, but I have not seen it.
Really? All right. Well, there's a great character on it called, I think, Champion or something. Who?
Thank you, David Cutler. But my name's Jimmy.
Thanks, Dave. There's a character called Champion, I believe, or something. That's
1 second there, Andre. David Cutler, did you happen to watch the episode and decide whether you're joining us?
Oh, is he deciding who's coming in?
Let us know. I think he's worried because last time he thought he liked the episode and he didn't. So
what does that matter? Doesn't matter at all. We shit on episodes here all the time. I mean, we don't shit on them, but we I think we're fair. We're partial and fair, and if we don't like an episode, we're usually fairly eloquent in our reasoning as to why. I don't think. Wouldn't it be great if, not great? It'd be pretty bad, but if Dave gets shit from Marvel for shitting on anything Marvel related because he works for Marvel, if they're like, "What?
I'd be afraid if I was
you shit on the Matt Frewer Generation X TV movie? You're not loyal. You're not a company man." They just throw him up to some toady that's just saying. Oh no, you did good, man.
You bring the heat every time, David.
You bring the heat. You melted our hearts and that ice, man.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
in case you have to leave, we're gonna be talking about this later. This is good stuff here. So,
I didn't get to Halifax pick up mine yet. Yeah. Anyway, there's the Tick's talking to Champion, who is a superhero that wears glasses and then takes them off when he's in his private, secret identity. And there's a great scene where he's talking to the Tick and he takes the glass, he puts the glass on. He's like, "Oh, hey buddy," he's like, maybe it's the other way around, I can't remember. He's like, "Hey buddy, you're not supposed to be in here." And then he takes him off and, "Hey Melly," and he's like, "Oh Champion, thank God you're here. there's a guy in here. You know, like just the second he puts on the glasses, it just totally changes. He just can't put the two and two together. They might be the same person. That's a nice shot right there, Millie perched on you.
Well, you know, I'm friend to all woodland creatures.
Behind that picture that kind of looks like Robert Picardo in a Starfleet outfit. I know it's Jean-Luc Picard, but it just kind of looks like the Doctor from from Voyager. Also, the guest star of every Joe Dante movie ever made. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Today we're dealing with part 2 of the fairly fun and serviceable episode of Savage Land, Savage Heart. Part 2, in which we both enjoyed last episode. I believe we both gave it 8s. Is that correct?
I believe so. Well, Davan did.
Oh,
I'm Jimmy.
You're gonna commit to this the whole time, huh? It's gonna get really, really exhausting really fast.
All right.
And
written by Marty Eisenberg and Robert N. Skier. Same as last time. So not often. Like usually the two-parters are written by completely different people.
What do you think the N stands for?
Well, maybe we'll have him on the show and ask him.
Oh, have you talked to him?
No, but I think I could. All right.
You have a way of getting a hold of these people that it wouldn't seem like you should be able to get a hold of.
I think people think I'm quaint because of my Nova Scotian accent, which they pick up in text.
Oh, well, that's gonna be a hell of an accent if it's coming through in text. You just you texted like an East Coaster, like, hey, won't you come on our show there and talk about the X-Men? Talk about the X-Men there in the old show. We'll talk to you there.
Come on over. I would call
we'll chat around. While wearing a Wolverine outfit. They probably think you're like a special needs person who's trying to invite them on the show. Okay, Dave. We'll see you later, buddy. We're hoping to sneak Dave onto the show, but he has to leave.
Hopefully next week we'll see him.
Which means that he could be lying. We have no way of validating that, but we trust. We take him for his word. We love you, Dave.
Mm-hmm. And directed by Larry Houston.
Mr. Houston. Mm-hmm. All right, so
future guest of the show, I hope. We'll see.
Well, we're almost halfway through the entire series, so you better pick up.
Well, look, we have an interview coming up soon.
Do we?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about this?
I think so.
I don't think you did.
Well, we're waiting for a certain episode before the interview happens.
So wait, I do kind of remember this. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, so we come in the part.
Jimmy likes the sudsies.
What's Jimmy drinking?
Alternate reality.
Oh, I've had that before.
Mainly
because somebody gave it to me as a gift because of the iconography on the cover or on the can rather looks a lot like Rick and Morty, and they know I'm a fan, so they gave me. I drank straight for 3 days, so I've decided to.
Well, glad you're sticking around.
All right, I've been drinking for 3 days over the long weekend, so I figured I'd dry out a little bit for today.
Maybe
how's your Thanksgiving?
Maybe watch the next episode while you're listening to us, and then let us know. Well, yeah, if you're coming next week.
Oh yeah, the Phoenix one. You know, he's a Phoenix fan.
Yeah, it's Phoenix Part 1 next week. So
this is riveting podcasting. That's just scheduling with David live on air. How's your Thanksgiving, by the way, Davin? Before we get on to we had Canadian Thanksgiving. I noticed he gave me shit on my Facebook page for my other podcast for not having any Canadians in the picture. However, I defy you to Google superheroes celebrating Thanksgiving and finding a Canadian in there.
There's no Alpha Flight Thanksgiving memes.
There may be a Wolverine tucked away somewhere, but
there's not enough Alpha Flight memes. I think we can all agree with that.
Memes in general, probably not.
Or just anything Alpha Flight.
You might find a Wolverine Thanksgiving. Maybe. You'll probably find a Deadpool one, I guess, since you're talking about Canadians.
I hold out hope with the wackiness that She-Hulk has given us in the MCU that Alpha Flight is now possible.
Oh, I think for sure. I think anything.
Though the John Byrne run is actually quite serious. It's funny, but it's actually quite a serious story. But all the more recent takes of Alpha Flight are all pretty goofy. Because in a way, they're pretty goofy. They're just goofy little Canadians, eh?
Looking online, there's very little. I think Deadpool with turkey is close. You're going to get to a Canadian carbonate turkey.
All right. You got Wolverine. Your nose there. Let me know me.
Okay, look, people can't see this. I guess
I
they
know.
can if they're watching.
My
the
jokes
video.
aren't good for the audio podcast.
That just means they have to.
There's a lot of visual gags tonight, people. So if you're listening, I don't know, maybe check us out on YouTube's or something.
It's a ringing endorsement. If you
Mhm.
feel like it, maybe check it out. I don't know.
Look, I don't want to force the ex-goons to do anything.
That's true, but if they're turning into this, then I'm sure they're already we already got them. They're locked in.
It's true.
All right, so Wolverine is about as close as you're going to get to.
It's been a long ride. They've been with us for a while. It's been bumpy, but beautiful. The scenery is fantastic.
There's actually a meme from this show of Wolverine cutting open a turkey that I guess I could have used or we could have used.
Oh yeah, that one. That's
That's possible. That's about as close you get to Canadian. The Thanksgiving. Yes, we did celebrate our Canadian Thanksgiving on Monday.
What were you thankful for, Andre?
I don't know. I don't know. I got a pretty good life. I guess I should be thankful for my home, my family, my cats, my friends, I said family. You, the show, Marvel stuff that I enjoy, books I like, games, all the good stuff. I'm thankful for it all. Life's pretty good. I can't complain. Seems like I get pretty bogged down with being busy sometimes, but it could be worse. I'm not in the mine slinging a hammer. So, this is pretty. If I'm busy with work, sitting on my computer watching TV while working, that's not as bad as it could be. So, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Dad? What are you thankful for?
Well, baby cuddles again. But I went to a Nordic spa. That was fun.
You didn't invite me. We could have generated some prime content. You and I sitting in bathing suits in a steam bath. I mean, come on.
The next time you're down Hubbard's Way, let me know. We'll stop over at the Nordic spa.
I was just there.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know that then.
Well, you like how far away is Hubbard's? How far away is Hubbard's from East Mountain or not East Mountain?
Eastern Passage.
Yeah, where you are.
Like 45 to an hour.
Oh, wait,
Hubbard's. Yeah, 45.
Yeah, well, still would have been easier to go home that day than it would have been to drive to your house first.
It's a detour to the right.
Yeah,
Eastern
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well,
and it's nice. Got some just glowing remarks about the baby when I picked her up from school today, which is pretty. Always.
Oh, is she in school now?
Well, a little daycare, but
Oh, yeah.
She's a light, just like a flower, like a wonderful flower light or a soul, apparently.
Well, that's a lot of words all jammed into one sentence. It's kind of a nice baby.
But no, she has a good aura about her.
That doesn't surprise me. It seems like she comes from good stock. So, well, I guess we could talk about the show. You want to do that?
Yeah, why not? Let's talk about the X-Men. Let's talk about.
Well, before you interrupt,
episode 12, Savage Land, Savage Heart.
Before you interrupt me with the previously in X-Men, you must have just played
about to, yeah.
All
right. Previously on X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
Y'all keep her distracted
Oh,
while
crap.
I absorb her powers.
Oh, no, that
I'll
was-
slow her down long enough.
Oh no,
Have you messing
that's
up
not
the
right.
weather from here to Barbados?
that's we'll
Yeah.
talk about that in a minute.
Can you not?
I've been messing up the previously on X-Men's lately. One little finger slip in because I don't have a real mouse. It's just this thing on my laptop.
Okay, dear listeners, can we put together a maybe GoFundMe that we can get Davin a mouse? You can buy them at the dollar store, Davin.
Okay.
I'll buy you a mouse.
What's a good brand?
Anything is better than nothing at this point. So perhaps just buy a cheap one and use it and see how you think of it.
We'll come back to that other quote in a minute. All right.
Oh, in a minute. You mean near the end of the episode when it actually is relevant? Yes, that's right. We will.
The one I just did? No,
Yes,
that's
near the end of the episode.
No, that quote's from like 3 minutes in.
No,
I know that for a fact because all of my sound effects are chronological to the episode because I just go through it and I put them on there. Yeah.
I don't think so. But anyway.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing you can count on about my sound effects.
Well, listen, that particular one I'm pretty sure is near the end of the episode, and I'll explain why if you played at the wrong point, which I'm sure you will. Anyways, we get our flashback.
Where's your costume, bub?
I was not told I had to wear one.
Are we not superheroes? Is it not?
I mean,
October?
I guess I have a brown jacket that could be kind of close to Gambit's.
Like Gambit's
it's not
jacket?
long. It's not long. He hasn't been in an episode in a while. Have you noticed?
That's true. And before that, it was Rogue that was gone for a long time.
I don't really have much in the way of. Oh, okay.
Do you have Gambit headgear that covers just your chin?
I don't have any Gambit
sides
stuff.
of your head.
I do have something that is on brand for me. 1 second.
Okay.
Discuss.
Let's have a real podcast. All right. So this episode, pretty good follow up to the last one. I gotta say, it feels like more connected than a lot of the two-parters. I don't want to spoil my X rating, but there's a lot of good Storm stuff in this one. Okay, we were talking about Storm.
All right. Well, I got my.
All right. So you're like basically arcade.
Well, it's a Spider-Man blazer, as you can see.
Oh, it's a Spider-Man blazer?
Yeah, see the webs.
Oh. I like Spider-Man. I don't want him to know that, but I like Spider-Man.
Damn right you do. He's the best superhero ever.
Other than myself, Jimmy. You're right.
It's the great superhero, Jimmy.
Jimmy Bub.
All right, Jimmy Bub. Your last name's Bub.
Bub.
Oh,
no, that's you, Bub.
What type of bubs were these? The Westmoreland bubs?
Look, don't give me shit, or Bub turns into egg sucking.
So let's get into this. So into the episode we go, as Storm is still possessed by, or rather not possessed, but sort of unleashed all her powers without putting any control into it because of the machinations of Sauron. So she's kind of running around, just causing general chaos throughout the Savage Land in the area that the X-Men are hanging out with the now depowered Sauron, who is Karl Lycos again, and Rogue, and Jungle Jubilee, as she refers to herself for some reason now, as well as Wolverine, so a beast as well. So they're off there. Well, she's
handsome, real handsome, that Wolverine character.
Yeah, it's handsome fella.
Mm-hmm.
Who is she flies off on a pterodactyl, kind of.
Hey, Andre, what's your favorite number
ever?
Yeah.
Oh well, 677,933,627,452.
That is a pretty good number. You know what my favorite number is?
Probably 8.
3.
Okay. All right. So, how many of these do you got? Because it's going to be a long night, and I got some stuff to. We're already 20 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about the goddamn episode yet.
That's usual for this show.
That is true, but I have work to do, so I'm gonna have to power through. So we got a pterodon. Jubilee jumps on it. Says can announce herself as Jungle Jubilee, the woman who took down Sauron because of pure luck last episode, and so infused with her youthful exuberance, she thinks she can take on Storm all by herself. Goes up against her. Storm basically shoos her away with wind, as we all expected her to do. She's also kind of just rampantly making water kind of overflow and snow and other things that shouldn't be happening in the Savage Land. We see a particularly cute brontosaurus get knocked in the water and then saved by its mother, which is a nice little scene of dinosaur love, I shall call it. So yeah, Storm shoots Jubilee right off the pterodactyl, in which she's caught by Rogue. Rogue makes some jokes about her, referring to herself as Jungle Jubilee. We cut back to Zaladane, who is worshiping a giant rock of Garokk, who is kind of speaking. The eyes are glowing. During sort of the Storm's crazy weather escapades, she electrocutes the rock and makes it kind of melt into nothing. Zaladane thinks this means Garokk has been harmed or possibly destroyed. But as we see, the rocks melt into the land, and he's slowly growing stronger because of Storm's elemental influence. Yellow lipstick is a bold choice, I have to say, for Zaladane. I've never seen someone wear bright yellow lipstick before. I don't think ever in my entire life, but she seems to pull it off.
We'll talk more about her later too.
Yes, and I have some notes on her and Garokk as well. So Storm's going around, still causing mayhem and destruction. Basically,
Y'all keep her distracted while I absorb her powers. That'll slow her down long enough.
And have you messing up the weather from here to Barbados?
Don't you feel like Wolverine should do like a diabetes commercial? Here to Barbados.
well, you didn't even get his. Well, you're ahead of me once again, but you didn't even get his fun.
well,
you didn't even get his fun little dialogue. So basically, Storm's craziness causes a stampede where the dinosaurs start, just running full speed towards our intrepid heroes, to which they sort of run to get out of the way and duck into a cave. To which Wolverine has a rather pithy line, which I felt like you probably would have recorded. Did you?
Missed that one.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine says, you can't beat that rush hour traffic. That's the
I can do it for you right now.
I
just beat that rush hour traffic.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I think mine was better.
Bub.
Beast, of course, waxes a bunch of nonsense that sounds kind of vaguely scientific.
Oh, I got some of that probably.
Well, Jubilee rings out his shirt.
We are caught between Scylla and Charybdis,
Yes.
the proverbial rock and a hard place.
More on that later as well.
Why overcomplicate things to that level? Like I just it's such like the term flexing when you're just trying to look strong or smart or rich or whatever. It feels like all Beast does is flex his intelligence constantly. Must be exhausting. Anywho, the clip you played,
it's not as good as last episode where he just wouldn't even tell them what the threat is.
Well, that one was even.
It's a blast from the past. They're like, what? And then they get attacked.
Yeah, that is true. But even that wasn't like a scientific term. He was just being vague. Like it was just strangely vague. Anywho, so then we kept back to Rogue, as you mentioned, there volunteering to zap her powers. Wolverine saying she won't be able to control them and possibly wiping out Barbados, which is an interesting of all the places for Wolverine to reference. Barbados being the only one is interesting. I don't know what that tells about him. Maybe he likes tropical climates.
It's pronounced Barbados.
No, it's diabetes. That's a different pronunciation.
The island of diabetes.
Yes, we're just full of Wilford Brimleys.
Yeah, it's like a delightful place.
Yes, just filling out forms for Liberty Medical and eating Quaker oatmeal and watching episodes of The Thing and Cocoon.
That now does sound like a good place.
If you want to do a deep cut, what's that stupid name? What's Remo Williams? He was in that movie too, which is fucking terrible.
Don't know that one.
Really? Oh, remember those pulp novels that came out? You know how there's a billion Louis L'Amour westerns. You go to a bookstore, they look the same. So there were pulp action books that were kind of like those too. Back in the day, your Doc Savages and your the Shadow and your Phantoms were kind of in those books too. But they had an action one called The Executioner. And I think it was The Executioner. No, maybe it was a different one. But there's another one that's sort of or The Destroyer. They're called The Destroyer. That's what it was. Or Destroyer. The series, basically, the main character in them was Remo Williams was his name. So back in the 80s, they tried to kickstart a new action series called Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins, which is great because there were no further adventures. So the adventure began and ended in the same movie. And it's not great, but Wilford Brimley is in it. And Fred Ward plays the titular Remo Williams, which is always fun.
Oh, the recently departed Fred Ward.
Yeah, sadly, he was great. Also, Kate Mulgrew's in it for the Star Trek fans out there.
Really? I am a Star Trek fan.
You mean Davan's a Star Trek fan?
No, me, Jimmy.
Wolverine likes Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt that.
What?
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy to watch science fiction.
Oh, I love science fiction.
Okay. You also don't
the old pictures, the old talkies.
Yes, yeah. Specifically Metropolis and other strange German.
That was a good one.
that were around when you were alive.
One of those newfangled pictures like Metropolis.
Lyco's feeling guilty about everything that Sauron has caused, including making Storm do what she's doing currently. Volunteers to suck the energy from her But that will turn him back into Sauron, which and Kazar is not a fan of that because him and Lycos are friends, as we've established in the previous episode. But they do decide that that's the best way to go because having Sauron having these powers is better than what Storm's doing with them at the moment. Mm-hmm. So they draw her attention by shooting flaming catapult at her, which seems like a pretty aggressive first move just to get her attention. They do make a little joke where they're not a joke rather, but when they say like, be careful, we're just trying to get her attention because like one just whizzes by her when she's in the air. And as she's sort of noticing being distracted by this, Rogue flies Lycos in to grab onto Storm and start sucking her powers away. Basically, Kazar tells him to let go before he fully becomes Sauron, but it's too late. He fully
it's always too late with
transforms back into Sauron. I love how Sauron always has ripped jeans on. He's always wearing jorts, little brown jorts.
He goes to the same store as the Hulk.
Mm-hmm. And John Cena.
Does he have ripped jorts?
Well, they're not usually ripped, but they are jorts. How do you not know anything about John Cena? Have you not read the novels I've been sending you? My John Cena fan fiction?
No, I haven't gotten those.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you later. So it's highly erotic and incredibly inappropriate. So Sauron tries to zap. Well, basically, when he becomes evil, fully Sauron evil again out of his Lycos mind, he tries to zap the powers from Rogue. But there's a weird sort of interaction between them where Rogue sort of takes on some of Sauron's physical form before reverting back to her own. And Sauron kind of growing in size and then desizing and then an energy beam putting them apart, in which Rogue mentions a little later on that their power absorbing capabilities seem to have canceled each other out when trying to use them on one another, which is an interesting little thing. So I wonder if there's like levels of power absorption. Like if one is like an 8 and one's a 3, you can take theirs, but not if you're both 8s or you're closer. Answer for the ages, anyhow. So we see Garokk growing in power as he's
Oh wait, no, I'm gonna get ahead of you again.
That's all right.
I don't know where we're at here.
Hail, ice, rage on!
That was before. She was making ice rain down on the
how
dinosaurs.
Storm works to keep her powers under control. And I thought my powers were a pain.
Yeah,
I guess that was funny because there's so many scenes of Jubilee's powers being annoying or her blowing up VCRs.
I was gonna say, I guess blowing up the occasional VCR is real taxing on you, and this other person can basically destroy the world if she lets go.
Exactly.
Oh no!
Which I discussed in a comic book last episode.
Yes, you did.
Check that out.
You sure did.
It's a very good example of her letting loose.
So we cut, of course, back to.
I know where we're at. We're right here.
An evil within the land must be purged.
Nope.
This evil must be destroyed.
No. I'm ahead. I'm ahead or behind.
You're ahead.
Okay.
No, I don't think by much though.
Okay.
So you're getting better. You're getting better.
Well, I thought we were talking about this guy.
Well, I was just starting to, yes, but we just saw his influence spreading across the savage land where everything starts turning kind of into rocks, almost crystalline looking rocks. Then we cut back to Beast, who's now wearing glasses for some reason and hasn't been up until this point. Going into getting a medical kit out of a
sometimes
bag.
he needs them. It's random. Like you think in Beast form, he would have good vision.
That's true, but he's always in Beast form. So
true, you think he'd have good vision.
You see him go back. You see him go into a little hut. You see him say that he's sedating Storm to help her while she's overcoming whatever. And, basically coming up with some kind of a plot as to what to do next. That's Jubilee from earlier. Very nice.
It's Jubilee of the Jungle.
You mean Jubilandre?
Jubilandre of the Jungle.
Oh, and yeah, it should have been Jubilandre of the Jungle. It shouldn't have been Jubilee or Jubilandre. Damn it, I fucked it up.
Yeah, you should really run these things by me first.
Well, in fairness to me, you started the show at the last minute.
It's true. I was getting my costume on.
And in fairness to you, I'm late all the time. But actually not tonight. So, anywho, so we cut back to the Rogue going in to check on basically Storm, who's with Wolverine at the moment. The townspeople are still worshiping the Garokk statue outside as they think that he can perhaps help them against the recent troubles. Storm, this is the clip you played where she's feeling now that she's kind of somewhat sedated, the darkness of Garokk and his influence on the land, how he has to be stopped. It's funny how Beast said he just said he sedated her, and then immediately she wakes up and walks out of the thing, and then basically almost goes nuts again. So she walks out, notices the people worshiping the Garokk statue, knowing how evil the evil that she sensed of this is. She destroys the statue. The worshippers, of course, are noticeably upset that their god was just destroyed by this foreigner dressed in white. They come to attack her. She uses her wind to kind of blow them all out of the way. Rogue tries to stop her. She pushes back on Rogue. And then in what may be the most ridiculous flex I've seen Beast do yet, he has a backpack that he's been wearing throughout the episode, and he presses an elaborate button on the front of the backpack in a little sequence that makes a metal arm come out from behind the backpack, go out, and then down with a syringe in it. Well, like a version of a syringe that he takes and then just puts in his hand and uses to inject Storm. Instead of just reaching into a pouch.
Let it be known, Beast is very smart.
Yes, but like
he doesn't make that clear very often. So
I think making things more efficient is also a symbol of intelligence. Would it not be? I mean, he has an elaborate metal. He has like the space arm come out of his backpack just to hand him a syringe.
The Canadarm?
Yes, the Canadarm.
Wow, Beast has his own Canadarm. Well, our tax dollars paid for that.
Well, Jesus, that seems like a waste of them. I want those dollars back.
Talk to Beast. Or me member of Parliament.
You member of Parliament.
Yeah.
So they sedate Storm once again. We cut to Sauron flying into Zaladane, who's worshiping the Garokk statue. Sauron wants her to help him basically take out the X-Men and finish his evil plans. She doesn't really want anything to do with him anymore. He's outlived his usefulness, she said. And then we get all that fill-in story as to how Garokk's been slowly influencing Sauron because of the necklace that he's been wearing. And he's the reason why he went to New York. He's the reason why he found Storm. Because way back in the previous episode in which we visit the Savage Land, in which the X-Men battled Mr. Sinister, and also the Sauron and other mutates were involved. We learned Garokk's backstory basically here. So Garokk.
This stone is not as lifeless as it appears, Sauron.
You do not exist.
But
yes,
he does.
Sauron doesn't believe Garokk actually exists. He thinks Zaladane is worshiping a false idol. Then Garokk basically comes to life.
He's a man of science, even as a dinosaur.
That's true. Restrains Sauron with beams, and then gives his backstory, which is he's been around since basically the Jurassic times. Shows him just shooting lasers at dinosaurs for no real reason, I guess, just being a dick. But then he is basically another being who is in the area, another superpowered being confronts him, who those of us who know anything about comics will recognize as the High Evolutionary, which is kind of cool to see him.
Very cool cameo.
Yes, very cool. I'm curious to see what this is about.
And he is tied to the Savage Land a lot in the comics as well.
Which I think may tie into some other stuff that comes later. But anyway, so during this battle, High Evolutionary shoots Garokk with some beams, makes him melt into goo, and basically turns him into this rock idol, confining him to the land, which he was stuck with for thousands of years, being worshipped by the locals. Until he couldn't really do anything, just sort of watch until the event with Mr. Sinister when the X-Men were in there and Storm used her powers. During that battle,
a Rube McGoldberg machine is?
Do I know what a Rube McGoldberg machine is? No, I do not, David. What is it?
We're confused. I think Andre's Googling Rube McGoldberg machines.
I'm trying. It's hard to spell because he disappeared.
Oh, let me bring it back. Here you go.
Rube McGoldberg. Nope. Must be something that Dave needs
something
to fill.
Dave invented himself.
I know Rube Goldberg
big.
is an American cartoonist, sculptor, author, and engineer.
Oh.
I see.
Is
that what he's trying to spell? Rube Goldberg?
Rube Goldberg.
Because I found him. He made a lot of strange little gadgets and stuff. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yes.
I'm familiar with that. It autocorrected in weird.
Okay. An overly complicated machine to accomplish a simple task. That's
Beast
definitely Beast.
Beast the king of that for sure.
Yeah.
So
style, and I love it.
while that battle was happening, Storm used some of her powers. Garokk got a taste of it and allowed him to become a little stronger, and just strong enough to basically start communicating with Zeladane and putting things into play to get more of that power back to Savage Land to make him stronger and free him from his stony prison. So all of that was why they basically
is holding Xavier. I'm gonna enjoy making him let go.
I get ahead of you again.
Yeah, is that just from the flashback?
No, they're holding Xavier.
Xavier's not in this episode.
Yeah, but
it's from the I think that's just a clip from the flashback when they were showing when the X-Men and Sinister were battling before season 2.
My bad.
That's all right. But so
Restrain me, I beg you! Do not let me recover my strength!
And I told you to let loose every now and again. Shows what I know.
I love Storm, but I have a bit of a pet peeve when people don't pronounce the G in strength.
Strength. Yeah, I get that. Strength. Yeah, then we see that he slowly is getting more powerful. And there's some kind of machinery that's underneath the earth that keeps the Savage Land the way the Savage Land is, which I believe is probably due to the High Evolutionary.
But we'll be talking about that later.
Oh, I was going to talk about that too, but I don't really know, so it's probably better that you do. So they.
What were you going to talk about?
Well, just that's probably connected to the High Evolutionary and some other stuff. So yeah, so then we learned that Sauron's outlived his usefulness basically, and Garokk's getting stronger and stronger. Storm wants to be restrained because she's afraid of her powers. Rogues, as you played, feels bad about telling her to let loose every once in a while. We cut to basically what we think is an earthquake, but is Garokk fully taking form. As the land is kind of being ripped open, he is sort of, we see sort of holes rip up in the ground, which drops some people in, but they, of course, always land on a rock and get saved because we can't watch people die in the show, as we've established before. Rocky hands come out of the ground and pick up Kazar and Zabu. Wolverine says a fun little line about stone versus adamantium. You get that one? And you missed all the good Wolverine lines, and you're Wolverine.
I was going to do them myself, bub.
That's a shoddy cover if I ever heard of one.
Got this one.
What are you talking about? I'm sweating like a pig here.
That's like the most. It is funny. I was going to say it's like the most benign one, but it's pretty funny.
Because they're like, it's going to get real frosty. He's like, what? It's hot.
Yeah, that is true. So as the rocky sort of the holes are ripping open and everything's turning kind of crystalline and rocky, the building Storms in is also becoming like that and shrinking upon itself. For claustrophobia, of course, rears its ugly head and she blasts her way out, going a little crazy with the mad power, as she said before. Going into the sky and shooting the giant head of Garokk that has just arrived, trying to destroy it. But as Beast quickly can see, do you have this quote?
Storm, this is Beast. Cease and desist, I implore you. Your efforts only exacerbate the situation.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I feel like that's like what all
and
the
she like
X-Men
takes off her
Beast.
She takes off her little red X's on her costume because they're transmitters to be like, don't.
She's always like, let's go to the Guggenheim, and they're like, leave me alone.
But they still go. They come out for Beast. They're ready for Beast. They want to help him out.
That's true.
So Wolverine is getting hot because of everything going on. He mentioned how he's sweating and takes his mask off, which begs the question: why does he even wear the mask to begin with?
We wear masks to look cool, bub.
That's the only reason. Mm-hmm. So while trying to blast away Garokk's effects, she's inadvertently making him stronger, which is what Beast is trying to warn her of. But she doesn't have none of it, gets rid of it. Rogue goes out to try to stop her, tackles her out of the air. But at this point, Sauron, who is still being trapped by Garokk, manages. We also see Jubilee in this instance when there's a lot of electricity coming off of Storm using her sunglasses, actually over her eyes, which might be the first time in the entire series we see this. They're usually always on her head.
But it makes sense if she has fireworks powers. Like, do they hurt her eyes?
She doesn't really use them.
That's why she has sunglasses. Like, that's the whole purpose of them.
But she doesn't wear them very often.
Well, Maybe she's gotten used to it.
So basically Garokk starts forming into a real being. The head becomes a real like rock head. He busts his way out of the volcano as Sauron escapes from the prison that Garokk sort of put him in. Garokk's pretty cool looking. He's all stony. Kind of looks like a I'm trying to think he looks like something that reminds me of, and I can't think of what exactly. A golem, maybe, that kind of thing. So the energy that's being created from Garokk ascension to power, Sauron tries to absorb for himself, and basically fills him with energy as well, causing him to grow in size to about the same size as the massive Garokk. And then we get ourselves...
Except for the X-Men. They did.
And then what do we get, Davan? Then what do we get with a giant Sauron and a giant Garokk? We get a
kaiju fight. Yep,
that's right.
Kaiju
doesn't
fight.
last nearly as long as it should.
It's good though. Here's another kaiju fight picture. Look at those kaiju.
I like the scene where the dinosaurs are running away while they're kind of struggling with each other too, which is kind of cool.
And they both look like kaiju too, especially Sauron.
Oh, Sauron 100% does. But you know what's funny? Like he's made of the earth, but he somehow managed to make himself a little loincloth that seems to be made of cloth.
Stitches. Is that like stitches? I don't know.
Oh, like the rock.
I guess that's just the rock.
I'm just curious with the little loincloth.
He's like sort of looks like a mummy and a rock guy.
If you're like an elemental creature, why do you have to hide your shame?
You have to hide your elemental shame. Sure.
I don't know. I think they should have just went out and had a giant rocky dick there.
Well, you know,
the swinging around.
That's the version of this cartoon you'd like to see.
That's the Japanese one.
The censors, on the other hand.
Actually, no, it was Japanese. It wouldn't be dick. It'd be some kind of a tentacle that looks like a dick, but not quite. But just changed enough so that they gets by the stringent censors of the dick censors they have in Japan. So while the two creatures are battling each other, they basically explode one another.
Didn't have those when I was in Japan.
Just I was like, I had my dick out everywhere. Nobody stopped me. So they're combing through the rubble trying to find Storm and Rogue, who were caught in the explosion as the two Titans battled. They eventually do find them. Rogue's and Storm are both okay. And they basically get their stuff together and leave. And then we see Zaladane kind of coming to after when Sauron escaped, he used his powers to knock her out. And we just see the head of Garokk that's kind of ripped out of the ground on the side going, I was so close. As a sort of...
I was so close.
That was hilarious. Like,
it was actually
Garokk seems like he would just be this stupid, forgettable villain, but he's actually like has more personality than you think a rock elemental would have.
Yeah, kind of. You know, considering he was lay dormant for centuries, you think he'd get pretty boring. You'd probably lose your fucking mind. But anyway, we see Karl Lycos and Kay's like he's knocked out after depowering a Sauron. Kazar comes up, grabs him by the hand, and then there's like an energy, but the thing is just the friendship, I suppose. Since he's not sucking it, or maybe he's sucking energy from him to bring him back. That must be what it was. I've actually just rationalized my own way into the answer. Gave him enough energy to be able to get up.
That's how you know it's well written.
Because he does suck energy from regular humans too, which allows him to live. Yeah. But not super mutants make him into Sauron. So Kazar gives enough energy to get him back on his feet, tells him that there are no more mutants in Savage Land. So he's safe. He's free of the curse of Sauron. Karl Lycos is happy, rips off his necklace from Garokk, throws it against a rock, and shatters it. Then we basically have a nice little disturbing way of ending this series. I thought was nice. It's always nice when they show the cracks in these heroes. Is when Rogue Storm is like recovering on the bed on the Blackbird on the way back to New York. And she says to Rogue, like, you know, it's the first time I've really let loose, and I liked it. I really liked it. Which is kind of
these years of caution and denial to finally unleash my true feelings. I liked letting go. Never before have I felt so free.
Hashtag free Storm.
And yeah, there we go. End of episode.
Well, I guess you know what that means.
Each of guess he'll have to look into his own heart and
We'll
decide.
have to look into our own hearts and decide.
I don't want to.
Would you like me to go first?
No, yeah, sure. I went first last time.
I'll give this one a 9. I liked it better than the last
9?
one. Yeah,
Even more
Storm
than the
is
last
in
one?
there. Yeah, it was better than the last one. It's a good Storm episode, like you said. It shows the downsides to the heroes. Sauron's a good villain. Garokk turned out to be a good villain. Zaladain's kind of interesting, kind of scheming behind the scenes. It's got some Wolverine zingers. It's got everything you want. It followed the last one really well. It felt like almost like a movie. I liked it. 9.
9. I think 9's a bit much.
Well,
I think it's an 8. I think it's a solid 8. I think it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to get bogged down in the nuance of our arbitrary rating system.
We beg to differ.
Not by much. Come on.
Come on, Cyclops.
Not giving it a 2 or something. Jesus, calm down. It's a solid episode. It does continue on the story to last them pretty well. It is fun seeing the X-Men in different environments.
Good point. See, that's the kind of you definitely got to come next week, Dave.
Yes,
Tell me
like
you don't
Dave,
got stuff to say. You
show,
got all
so
the insights.
He's giving us this lovely insights about
I
how
know.
this is a good thematic setup for Dark Phoenix, which
Oh,
is coming
no.
next. And he can't be on this. Come on, Dave. Come
Even
on.
unprepared, you're better at this than we are.
Jesus,
Just
Dave.
do it. The
God
fans
damn it,
want to
Dave.
see you. They want to see you. Wondering how you are.
That's right. So I liked all the dark stuff with Storm, seeing her let loose, which is interesting. She's always been a fairly controlled character up to this point. We never really saw a dark edge to her, but it is the gritty 90s, as it were, and all the characters are getting dark edges, and that's what they need. So we have to give one to Storm too.
Well, hers is legit.
Wow, I mean, they're fictional characters. They could all their reasons could be legit if they're written well enough.
Well, maybe.
So
I'm not buying that whole Batman thing.
You don't think his parents getting gunned down in front of him is enough to give him a dark edge?
As the great philosopher Rocket Raccoon said, we all got dead people.
That is true. But it's rare that they're killed in front of you. Also, I think I want to go in a big Batman defense because I'm not like the world's biggest Batman fan. I do like Batman, but I feel like his origin story may be a bit more tragic than Wolverine's per se, which is literally just I grew up in a pampered household and then went nuts and killed my real dad and disappeared.
Wolverine's tragedy comes from being tortured by scientists for who knows how long.
Oh, a couple decades. No, not even that long.
That's a few years, a long time. Like that, liquid tube chamber they kept him in didn't seem comfortable.
To quote Brian Cox's portrayal of William Stryker in X2,
all right,
you were always an animal, Wolverine. I just gave you claws.
I'm a scientist. When I make a machine, I like to see if it's working.
So, so 8, solid 8. Good episode. I liked it. It was fun. It's nice to see them go.
It's funny you give it an 8 and you were all up in arms about my 9.
I wasn't up in arms.
Up in arms.
Oh, come on. I'm not up in arms.
That Spider-Man coat. It's got them all like extra sensitive.
You have yet to see me up in arms, sir.
All right. Well, an 8 and a 9. So you thought it was just as good as the last one. A solid 2-parter.
Yeah, I think it does a service to it totally to say it's an 8 right across the board, which is good. Solid ep.
Okay then. Uncanny X points. I can go first if you like.
Sure.
All right. And my first X point is tell me if I'm stealing yours here, but Zaladain. Her Zaladain.
Your point is just Zaladain.
Zaladain is actually 2 names. Her first name is Zala, and her last name is Dane.
That's correct.
She is the half sister of Polaris, Lorna Dane, who was abandoned in the freaking Savage Land. But yeah. So they have the same mother. So she's not Magneto's daughter. So yeah.
Well, and she's also a mutate in that she is a person that was actually, I guess Deadpool would be too. Would he not?
Yeah, Deadpool's a mutate.
Yeah, someone who has mute. It was an induced mutation, not a naturally occurring one.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's also dead, I believe, in the comics too.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll my point into you. No, I'm not gonna roll my point. It's fine. No,
roll it.
No, that's fine.
Roll it up.
That's literally it. I was just gonna say, she does tied to the Savage Lands a lot in her history in the comics, so it kind of makes sense that they'd have her in here. But I will just start with my first point, which is she in the comics is a high priestess of the petrified man, who is also known as Garokk, and that I knew he sounded and looked familiar. It was because I was familiar with that term, not of his actual name.
Petrified man, yeah, that's what I
which is kind of an interesting name. His first appearance in Astonishing Tales #2, October.
It's a cool name. Like that could be a horror villain.
Yeah, he looks like he's kind of made of old tree stuff, and even looking at his design in the comics, it is very similar to how he was depicted in the series. But it's a pretty deep cut of a villain to include in this. But it is related to the Savage Land and all that sort of stuff. So I think they did a nice job of kind of keeping it all together, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, is that it for your point?
Pretty much.
Well, speaking of the Savage Land, let's talk about the origins of the Savage Land. So there's these beings called the Beyonders, which a lot of people have heard of the Beyonder, the guy who wears like the nice white crushed velvet suits.
That's the Secret Wars 2 Beyonder, but yes.
Yeah. But there's these creatures called the Beyonders, which became big in the more recent Secret Wars. They're very powerful beings from outside our universe, but they're more powerful than all the things in our universe, even like the big Galactus type entities. So they were just trying to study evolution. So they tasked a species called the Nuwali to set up one of these evolutionary labs essentially on Earth. And the Nuwali put it in Antarctica because there were volcanoes they could tap into for like a power source and stuff to make it tropical. And then they just took different animals from different, like they put some dinosaurs and then they'd wait, 10 million years and put some different creatures in there. And that's why there's all these creatures from different time periods in the Savage Land. Is the Nuwali, who I don't think we ever see again. So that'd be an interesting thing to mine for some stories.
So was the high evolutionary one of the Nuwali?
No, he doesn't come into the Savage Land until way later. I'll talk about him in one of my other X points.
Oh, you're stealing all the X points.
Oh, no, you weren't going to talk about the Nuwali. So eventually they just the Beyonders got bored of that experiment and just didn't care about the Savage Land anymore. But anyway.
So they're the ones
I'll
who
leave it there and pick it up in another
the machinery underneath the keep the Savage Land the way it is.
Yeah, well, it was meant to be self-sustaining anyway, but
Well,
somebody does come to fix it up. Well, do I have that as the next point?
Do we ever see?
I don't. So who it was the Atlanteans. So some Atlanteans before Atlantis sunk left Atlantis and made it to the Savage Land, and they were Atlanteans, so they were familiar with technology, and they kept the Savage Land going. Like they fixed the technology to make it last longer and that type of stuff, and actually expanded the territory of it for the creatures that lived there.
Interesting.
Who, like a lot of these, like the native Savage Landians that we see, they were like a precursor to humanity, like one of the Homo erectus or one of these proto-humans that were put there. So that's interesting as well. Not all of them, not like Khazar and stuff, who has his own story. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so that's the Savage Land.
All right. My next point is the actress who does the voice of Zaladane. Her name is Lisa Del Bello. She only does this one voice in the show for these 2 episodes. Never to return. I'm guessing we don't see Zaladane again. Only has 6 credits as an actress. As filmography, she is a composer as well. But she did a lot of voiceover work for CBC's The National.
No way.
Yeah, and some other things like that. However,
when was she on The National?
Voiceover for CBC's The National. Introduction. Here is Peter Mansbridge. That was her voice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there you go. It's a deeply Canadian cut for you. She's in
a
2000 Ford Focus commercial. But most notably for the animated fans that are here from the 1990s, you may recognize her voice as that of Queen Nehelenia from Sailor Moon. She was the big villain in season 4 of Sailor Moon
Oh,
in 20
I didn't
episodes.
watch Sailor Moon.
20 episodes of the show, she was in Sailor Moon.
Wow, cool.
Always ready for a big fight. She is the one.
Oh, yeah, I always watch the intro because I like the tune. I think the other show I liked was on a different channel at the same time.
I used to get a real kick out of Tuxedo Mask. He's like the most effeminate superhero in the history of comics. Not comics, I guess, like in the history of fiction at that point.
It's probably a manga.
It was, yeah.
All right, so back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, okay, let's talk about this. Well, maybe I should pick up my Savage Land. Okay, so let's talk about the High Evolutionary. So eventually, this being named Terminus destroyed the Savage Land, and the High Evolutionary, with the help of the X-Men, helped rebuild it, the whole thing. So, like, a High Evolutionary is weird. Like,
he's human. He was a human, right? At one point.
Oh yeah, he's just some British guy, Herbert Wyndham. And
well, I mean, I think his continuity must be different in this show because he was around in the dinosaur times to turn Garokk into a rock.
No, he didn't do that.
In the show, he just did. We just watched it.
What? Oh yeah, I guess he's been around a while. He could be a time traveler for all we know, but I didn't think he was that old. Interesting.
Well,
his origin is similar to Mr. Sinister's in a way.
Well, actually, that's fair. It might not be dinosaur times. If you're shooting dinosaurs in Savage Land, and there still are dinosaurs in Savage Land, but he was around in prehistoric times. He said in his little introduction.
No, he's not that old. He's not.
Garokk was. That's what he said.
Garokk was. Garokk was, yeah, but High Evolutionary wasn't around in prehistoric time.
Well, not in the comics, maybe, but in the continuity of the show, it sounds like Garokk's been in prison for thousands of years. So if he
thousands of years is in prehistoric times.
Okay, well, it's still before Britain. It's still before England and English professors.
Nah, England's way older than that.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so that's it, though. And Zaladane was his assistant. And they were rebuilding it. So, and yeah, so that's that.
Okay, my next point is, speaking of the High Evolutionary, you may not or may be aware that he is the villain in the next Guardians of the Galaxy film. And I feel as though he's being played by an actor.
I almost didn't want to say that out loud and hope it, like, to jinx it. I'm so excited about it.
No, it's true that he is. The actor
who plays him?
Yeah, the guy from, did you watch, have you not paying attention?
Apparently not.
Yeah, he's played, have you watched Peacemaker, the DC show?
No.
So a guy from that, his name was I'm going to butcher his name because it's like it's a Nigerian name. Mm-hmm. Chukwudi Iwuji. Okay. He is playing the High Evolutionary. In fact, at one of the Disney expos when they announced some of the stuff about the new Guardians movie, he showed up in costume as High Evolutionary.
Oh my God, what does the costume look like?
It's pink. It looks like it does in the comic as much as you kind of can make it look. But he is going to be the villain in the next Guardians film. He's also in John Wick 2. You may know him from that. Most notably in the Peacemaker show. But he, so I'm assuming as basically based on some things that people have said online about what to expect from the new Guardians movie. It's that the High Evolutionary will be the main villain. There's a rumor Mark Hamill is going to play him, and I was kind of hoping that would be true. But it's fine. This guy's a cool actor. He plays Myrn on Peacemaker, which is a really, really good show. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Don't watch the other one. It sucks. But watch this one, and then watch the spinoff show Peacemaker featuring John Cena, as I mentioned earlier. I did watch The Suicide Squad. You did. He's not in it. This character is only in the show, but he's very, very good. He's playing the High Evolutionary. Rumor has it that, of course, it's going to deal with the origins of Rocket Raccoon. And I'm assuming the High Evolutionary will have something to do with it in the continuity of the movie.
That makes sense because rather than do Counter Earth, which has some
actually, I believe Counter Earth is going to be featured in the show because
really,
there are pictures of an Earth that's made up of human-like animals.
No, see, here's okay. That's possible. That could be Counter Earth.
Yeah,
I
but it
think
might
they'll
might not be the normal Counter Earth like the one from.
No, I think they'll make it half world, which is where Rocket Raccoon is from.
Oh, right.
And it's similar there, where it's anthropomorphic animals, but they're not like half human, half animals. That's like a Counter Earth thing. So I suspect. Here's a guess. You've heard it here first, people. They'll smash those two ideas together.
Oh,
they won't call it Counter Earth because that sounds stupid, and half world sounds cool. So I think they'll just probably. Yeah, so I think they'll just call it half world, but it'll probably be a mishmash of both of those.
Also, rumor has it we'll see the introduction of Lisa, the female equivalent of Rocket Raccoon, to the movie as well.
Oh yeah, she's a cool character. She's an otter. Elijah. No, not Elijah. Elijah's a different character.
No, there's a female Rocket Raccoon named like Lyssa.
Oh, not his girlfriend from Half World. She's an otter.
Oh, maybe it's a different character, but there is a female Rocket Raccoon.
I think I remember that actually. I think I have that comic.
Yeah, they're probably introduced as a love interest for Rocket. But good. James Gunn has said this will be his last Guardians movie, or at least the last version with this iteration of the Guardians. So, he may have more irons in the fire later, but I'm assuming they're going to kill off characters. If I had to guess, I'm going to assume Drax isn't going to make it. But
that would be my guess as well.
But I also
maybe Gamora.
There's rumor they're going to introduce his daughter, who may have survived the initial attack from Thanos. That he wasn't.
Moondragon. I hope they do. She's a way better character than
which
Drax.
Would be cool. I love Drax dearly.
I do too, but Moondragon's awesome.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't have to be one or the other.
It doesn't.
But yeah, so I think they'll probably wrap things up nicely with that. We'll probably get a happy ending for Star-Lord and Gamora, I hope. And the rest of them can go their own ways. We'll see what happens. But I would be interested to see more of the space stuff. I'm always a fan of space stuff, and we're getting more of it, but we haven't got a lot lately. I guess we got quite a bit of it with the Thor stuff, but I want to see like Silver Surfer stuff. I want to see like Terrax,
it's coming with
more
the Fantastic
Galactus, Fantastic Four, and I want to see all that fun space stuff. So, yeah. So I have another point about the High Evolutionary, but I'll bring that up in my next point. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
because I'm running out of points. Cool. You keep taking them.
What are we on? We're on 3 now.
That was my third.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Where are we at here?
It appears we are caught between Scylla and Charybdis, the proverbial rock and a hard place.
So Scylla and Charybdis are two sea monsters from Greek mythology, and they lived on either side of a narrow channel. And so to avoid one, it got you dangerously close to the other one. And they show up in different things like the Odyssey, the Iliad, Jason and the Argonauts, I think.
I was going to bring it up. They're very famously featured in the oh god, I'm blanking on his name right now. The Ray Harryhausen film.
Jason and the Argonauts.
Jason and the Argonauts, yeah.
Which is a great movie. That one almost has to get onto my new movie show. But anyway, we'll talk about my new movie show later. Yeah, that's my X point basically, though. Yeah, sea monsters, Greek mythology. It's pretty funny. So that's kind of where a rock in the hard place comes from, but it's different because a rock in the hard place is being stuck between two difficult or immovable things.
But if options.
Whereas this one, to say Scylla and Charybdis, is to say stuck between two dangerous things, which is a different saying. So,
but if you know that you're going to have to clarify the phrase you're saying, because nobody around you is going to get it. Why?
Oh, but Beach doesn't. He doesn't clarify anything. Oh, when he said the proverbial rock in the hard place.
Yeah. Why not just say?
I guess he did there. He usually doesn't bother.
Rock in a hard place.
So I think he's learning to interact with his team better.
Sure, let's go with that. Well, what's more interesting? Scylla is a female monster. So
yep,
yeah,
true.
Take that.
This weird kind of fish, but not quite a fish tail thing. It's weird.
Yep.
Was that your point?
No. My point is, I like that we've gotten to the point that the show's been on long enough that we can now have callbacks to previous episodes, and not just this villain was in this episode, but actually things that occurred because of things that occurred in the past. Although the continuity of the show, I think it's only been maybe a year few weeks since the show started. It seems like they're pretty liberal with how much time has passed, or rather tight with how much time has passed since the show began. But it's nice to see little callbacks to season 2 episodes in the Savage Land and all that stuff. Also, no Magneto this season. Not yet, anyway.
They've shown a lot of restraint. Well, he featured quite heavily in the first couple.
Mainly just him and Xavier running around the Savage Land getting chased by dinosaurs.
It was fun. Wacky adventures of Chucky and what do they call him? Magnus in this show?
Eric Magnus. He already has one. He just doesn't have to make one.
It's kind of something tied back going on right there. That's for sure. Well, we got Dan the Man, Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, Humberto Lopez all working together on Savage Land in the MCU.
That'd be fun. I'd like to see Devil Dinosaur in the MCU.
I would love to see Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur in the MCU and the Savage Land.
But what about poor, I don't know, what the hell's his name?
Moon Boy?
Moon Boy?
Oh, no one cared about Moon Boy. Moon Girl's way cooler. Lunella Lafayette, we're going to talk about her in a minute, too.
My God, how many minutes is we going to be talking here?
Well, lots. I got a lot of segments in this show, Andre.
Dear God. All right. I'll just...
Dave thought Scylla and Charybdis were just two rocks. I can see why you would think that. Because the rock in the hard place. No.
Or very similar, and if we're going to talk about our Greek rocks, we could talk about Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill for eternity. Which is what the show feels like sometimes.
Do you ever wrestle up in Newfoundland?
I sure did. Quite a bit, actually, over a couple of years.
There you go, Sam. Go watch
Mr. Chance, Sam. You could have went and saw me in Legend City Wrestling.
Look at that.
Many months
Mr.
ago.
Chance, Sam. That would have been a life-changing experience.
I wrestled Hacksaw Jim Duggan in Newfoundland.
Look at that. Oh.
I wrestled Rhino.
Did he hit you with a 2x4?
Yes. Yeah. I wrestled Rhino in Newfoundland.
When you messing with Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I wrestled Carlito from the WWE in Newfoundland. I wrestled lots of folks in Newfoundland.
Look at that. If only you'd wrestled them in that sweet Spider-Man coat.
We could. I don't think I had it at the time, but.
Well.
I know.
Makes sense. Would have been sweet though, eh?
It would have been sweet. No, life
this is funny.
Oh yes, I've gone through dildo. I've gone through many a dildo.
Many a dildo, Newfoundland.
No, it's there's a fun little succession of communities in Newfoundland. It's Conception Bay,
Come by
Dildo,
Chance,
and Come by Chance are also in the same area, which is fun to drive through.
Newfoundland's a funny place, apparently. Never been, but I'll go. Next time Andre wrestles, I'll be his tag team partner.
Yeah, right.
I know they'll break me in half, but if I wear this
costume,
it'll look good.
It shan't.
You're gonna break me in half? That's not what you do to your own tag team partner. Jeez, let me explain to you how wrestling works.
Yeah, I gotta teach you how to be tough, buddy. You gotta be tough. All right, let's go. Last point. Practice. Last point.
That's as long as it's in practice. Well, let's talk about the origins of Khazar. Okay. Oh, you know what? A little side X point. Did you notice how you can never say kill or anything like that in this show, right? That's a running theme here. But they do say murder on this in this episode.
It's true, they do.
So, and I was just it was kind of shocking just because they don't like to allude to those types of things.
Yeah, but I guess if it's not like in an instance where you're actually going to see it be happening, it's probably okay.
Yeah. And I think Eric Lewald says something about that too. It's like as long as you weren't like alluding to a specific person or something, you could get.
What an arbitrary thing.
Censorship's weird. It's a tough line to walk.
Sure is.
You got to draw a line somewhere, and it's like where do you?
Very strange.
Mm-hmm. But Khazar, so a fella named Kevin Plunder.
Did he come from the land down under?
No, England.
Okay.
It's not under. It's under Scotland.
That's true.
So, yeah, he's from the land down under. And his father, Lord Robert Plunder, went down to the Savage Land to plunder, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But ends up, like, abandoning his kid there, which is Kevin. So it's classic Tarzan story, basically. And Kevin grows up to become Khazar, basically raised by Zabu the Puma, or not Puma, the saber-toothed tiger. And that's Kevin Plunder, a man from noble English roots. I mean, he's basically Tarzan. But yeah, Kevin Plunder.
Kevin
He goes by Kazar.
Kevy Plunder.
Oh, Kevy Plunder, yep.
Kevy Pete. All right. So my last point is another reference to the High Evolutionary. Something that if you see the High Evolutionary in this series, you might say, hey, I want to see me some more High Evolutionary. And if so, I suggest you turn your attention towards the much maligned and underrated, I would say, Spider-Man cartoon called, oh my God, I just blanked on it. Spider-Man Unlimited. In which it was kind of the sequel.
Yeah, Spider-Man Unlimited.
So he lasted
quite a bit.
He was the villain. He was the main villain. The whole series took place in Counter Earth, and the main villain was the
yeah, because it's not Peter or anything.
It is Peter.
Guy.
No, it is Peter.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah. So Earth, it's kind of dumb, but anyway, there's another Earth appears on the other side of our universe. We discover one on the opposite.
Yeah, Counter Earth. It's on the opposite side of the
called
sun.
Counter Earth. So Spider-Man, for some reason, Spider-Man's drawn to go there. It's been a while since I watched it, but he hijacks
He's
the
a
spaceship.
counterculture kind of guy.
He makes a new suit and hijacks spaceship, goes to Counter Earth with, I believe, John Jameson. Throw that in. Gets stranded there, and then just lives on Counter Earth as working for a similar job as he did in this previous Earth, where it's surrounded by animal people, and he runs into other versions of his more popular villains that are their versions on this world. But the High Evolutionary is the main villain. He's more depicted as kind of the way the Beyonder looked in the regular Spider-Man cartoon, with like great big beard and hair and stuff, not the pink version as we were familiar with. But it's an interesting show. It's not perfect, but it certainly swung for the fences. Did it go over? Probably not, but it was still interesting.
That one, so
the animation style was really good. I remember the animation was quite good at the time. It was very different off-brand for Spider-Man. No, it was Peter. It was very much Peter.
Okay.
I'm sure Dave could comment more on it, but it was definitely Peter Parker.
Well, we'll ask him on the show next week.
It only had, I think, like 13 episodes. It only did the one season.
One season. It must have been great. No, it was probably good. It's Spider-Man. How bad can it be?
So basically, in that series, the High Evolutionary was disgusted with the behavior of humans on Earth. He believed that greater genetic diversity heightened survival traits, so he left Earth and went to Counter Earth to start over. Found the same destructive tendencies that humans had plagued his Earth, so he proceeded to create a new society with human animal creatures loyal to him called the Bestials.
Yep.
He also, and there's another little note for your High Evolutionary knowledge is in his hangout. He has a bit of ties to the Scarlet Witch as well.
Yeah, Wendigo Mountain.
Yeah, that's where she's hanging out in the Doctor Strange movie is Wendigo Mountain, which is the High Evolutionary stronghold in the comics. So a little nod to that as well.
And he has this guy, Man Beast, who guards it.
Well, in the series, the Bestials, he has a group called the Knights of Wendigo that are like his.
Yep. Man Beast is a Knight of Wendigo.
He also has
the Black Knight.
He has machine men as law enforcers, keep humans in order. Yeah, it's an interesting show. We get a Green Goblin and other characters that are like different on versions on their Earth, but basically, it's all kind of coming back to me now that I'm reading a little bit about it. Is that I think it was he notices the Carnage and Venom are trying to hijack the shuttle that's going to Counter Earth, or they're trying to get it. They're trying to escape to there, and he tries to stop them and gets stranded while he's there. For some reason, Venom and Carnage, they're not really fleshed out as real main characters. But
they get stranded on Counter Earth?
Yeah, they all do. And then, through the series, I believe it ends on a big cliffhanger where like the symbiotes are taking over Counter Earth. But
that's how you get guaranteed a second season, Andre.
You're not guaranteed, sir, because it never came back.
No guarantees in life.
Anyway, let's move on.
Hey, check this out.
All right, now we've got to David Cutler's favorite part of the show. So I'll go first. I'm going to talk about this lovely comic right here, starring a lot of my favorite characters. We have Nella Lafayette, Moon Girl. We have Wolverine giving her a fastball special here. Look at that, a reverse half-ball special.
Half-ball special is that we call it when she's
starting? Did I say half-ball special?
You did.
I'm thinking half-world. No, fastball special.
I like Half Ball Special. She's so small. It's a
But
half
you
ball.
know, the art is by this young up and coming fella. You know, his art's good. Nothing I can work with really, but it's good. Got some. We got Wolverine there. Look at that. Then we got Lunella, Havoc. Oh yeah, so it's like a Havoc Wolverine adventure. So that's cool. This must have been fun to draw, Dave.
I was gonna say, it looks like it'd be fun to draw.
Adventure. But honestly, no, I kid, but it's freaking amazing.
That's beautiful.
David Cutler knows how to draw an X-Men comic. Knows how to draw.
Is that the lizard? Oh no, that's a turtle.
No, he's a guy who, he's like turtle guy who looks like lizard. So I just read this today. It's a fun story, man. I think everyone should go pick this up. And the art's beautiful, of course. Look at that Wolverine looking all disgruntled, sitting next to Havoc in a jet.
I like that Havoc in a classic costume.
I love that costume. It's really good. And you know, I like your Moon Girl, Dave. I'm a Moon Girl fan. I do like Moon Girl.
It's cool that characters that are fairly new are getting, prominently featured in new books and stuff.
Dinosaurs.
I love me some Devil Dinosaur.
Oh yeah.
So as far as the current continuity of Moon Girl goes and her relationship with Devil Dinosaur, if I recall correctly, because I read the comics when they first introduced her, Moon Boy was just left in the past, and then Devil Dinosaur got junked to the future, which is where he currently still resides.
Yeah, and then she got stuck in an inhuman cocoon because she's an inhuman during that whole thing.
Yeah, I remember that. But
and like
Moon Boy is still just in the past without Devil Dinosaur living his life.
Yeah, I guess.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's well, maybe he has a new dinosaur.
It's like your best friend just disappears and you get no closure whatsoever on what happened to him.
They got to pick that up at some point. They're going to do right.
It was years ago, many years ago.
Oh, well, let it sit. Let it simmer.
Let it simmer. Gonna come back in that sweet, sweet Devil Dinosaur closure someday.
But seriously, everybody go pick this up. I mean, what do you want? Wolverine and Moon Girl in Havoc is like the perfect comic in that way. Like, if you could cast a comic, that's three good characters to freaking choose.
It is pretty great, I must say.
And it's fun. And it's drawn incredibly well.
Yeah, I'm sure Dave's killing it.
That also reminds me of, you know what? You go to yours, and I'll be right back.
What are you going to mine? You're going to be right back. What is this bullshit? I can't unveil my comic to you if you're not here.
Okay, well,
you got to be surprised.
Looking for anyway, so go for it.
Well, I try to keep the recommendations be a comic to something related to what's going on in this episode, and I thought a group of people from a more modern society being trapped in what would seem to be a primitive land with bestial, monstrous creatures that they don't understand. And Dave's shooting us with the Devil Dinosaur Moon Boy knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur didn't much care for each other.
Friends of convenience, Dave.
Marriage of convenience.
That's sad. It seemed like
he scraped off the dead weight and got a nice girl like girl.
Oh, that's nice. It's much like me and Davan. I'm just waiting to shed him for David Cutler, who is waiting in the wings. I'm kidding, of course.
It's gonna happen the other way around, if anything.
Yeah, actually, yeah, totally, and well deservedly so. So, another group of people from a more modern society that get trapped in what would seem to be a more primitive area where they thrive, befriend the locals, and fight the local monsters and warlords, if you will. One of my all-time favorite comics, and one that almost everybody's probably familiar with, the timeless classic, Bone.
Oh, Bone.
Have you ever read Bone?
Nope. But I am very familiar with Bone.
You should read Bone. It is a delightful, heartwarming adventure story. If you like The Hobbit, if you like Lord of the Rings.
Well, you're not selling on me with that, but anyway, I'll read Bone.
If you like fantasy, if you like comedy, if you like...
I like comedy.
It's hilarious. It's an amazing story about three brothers, Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Smiley Bone, who get trapped, who are run out of town when Smiley Bone, or Phony Bone rather, plays a grift when he becomes mayor of Boneville. This group, these lovely little guys are from. They look like this. That's Phony on the back. He wears a shirt with a star on it. Smiley's kind of goofy up here. They run out of their Boneville. They get lost while trying to find a new place to live and find this weird little village, rather this like entire community that lives within a kind of a hidden away place in a valley, in which they encounter the rat creatures. They're lower the King Doc. They befriend a woman named Thorne and her grandmother, Grandma Ben, who races cows, and they go on insane adventures.
Racist cows.
Well, actually, Grandma Ben races with the cows, so people pick their fastest cows and they race them all. But Grandma Ben actually is the only human in the race against the cows. It's called the Great Cow Race, and in the second, they do like 6-issue arcs. In the second arc of the book, Phony Bone tries to rig the Great Cow Race to try to get money out of the village, and
Classic
blows up in his
Phony
face.
Bone.
But it's classic. It's very good. There are also dragons that have been around monitoring the valley from the beginning of time. It's a beautiful, fun, at times heartbreaking story that I can't like. If you could to pick my all-time favorite books, it'd have to be in the top 5. It's amazing, top to bottom. So it's well worth reading. You will not be disappointed. I know Scholastic picked it up and they've sold billions of copies. So if you're a younger viewer, you may have read some of it yourself, but I think it behooves you to read the whole series. It's well worth your time, and you'll love it. You really will. If you have any wonder and whimsy in your heart, you'll love this book.
Nothing but adamantium in my heart, bub.
Well, they fucked up the process because it's only supposed to be on your bones.
Oh, that explains a lot. My remote with Andre.
I just love that little like thrown in Mojo quote near the end. Ah! What was that? Yeah.
Where's your remote taking you tonight, Andre?
Well, I don't actually have a physical copy of this one because I just watched it, but I had some friends over on the weekend and we watched actually I have a physical copy of one of them, but I don't need to grab that. So we watched a couple horror movies with friends on the weekend to kind of get amped up for Halloween. I had a rare day. We didn't have everything planned. I thought, let's have some friends over, watch some horror movies. We had a lot of fun. The first movie was a blast. Second movie was a lot of fun too. Second movie, which isn't the one I'm going to recommend, but you might want to check out for humor's sake, is called My Boyfriend's Back. It's from 1993, directed by Bob Balaban, about a kid who is trying to get the girl of his dreams to go to the prom with him. He tries to rig a fake robbery at the store she works at so he could save her and be a hero, but inadvertently gets shot by a real robber. Dies, but as he dies, he asks her to go to prom with him. He's buried. Life moves on. However, because she said yes as he died, he has to go to prom, so he comes back as a zombie from the dead to take her to prom.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, of course, he craves the flesh of the living, which will sustain him longer if he eats them. Some startlingly funny cameos in it from actors that like before they were famous. The bully in the school was played by Matthew Fox, the Americanized from Lost and Speed Racer. His sidekick, this little goon, is played by Philip Hoffman, who is later credited as Philip Seymour Hoffman, which is interesting seeing him as a young sort of bully. At one point during a scene in a movie theater, you very briefly see for like 30 seconds, probably less, see a young Matthew McConaughey as another teenager at the theater. So it's kind of interesting.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing some of that stuff. It's a fun movie, but the one I am going to suggest and recommend is the first movie we watched, which I absolutely adored. Yeah, let me tell you about a little director named John Landis, who you may be familiar with for his work. Yes, she bites on his ear and his ear falls off and he glues it back on later. That is the scene in the movie. Yes, it's meant to be satire, social satire. It's not meant to be taken too seriously, but it's a fun movie. It has a hilarious dream sequence in the beginning of the episode or the movie. But the movie I'm going to suggest is a little film by one John Landis, who you may be familiar if you're a horror movie fan with his earlier works such as An American Werewolf in Paris. But that is not, or London.
One of my favorite movies, The Blues Brothers.
American Werewolf in London. He did The Blues Brothers, Trading Places, Coming to America.
He also maybe killed some people on set, but we won't talk about that.
Was that his?
Was that him?
I don't think it was him. Not his version of the.
Okay, I take it back.
You're talking about the Twilight Zone movie.
No, there's that one, but I don't know. I don't
think he almost killed anybody.
I think I'm thinking of something else.
I think it was the segment George Miller directed that did that.
No, I can't remember now. I take it back. I don't want to slander John Landis because he made the Blues Brothers. But
it was. Let me see here. It was a helicopter incident from a segment, and it was.
Dave Cutler thinks I'm right. It was him with a helicopter.
Yeah, it was a helicopter. I don't think it was John Landis' segment. I thought it was somebody else's. But I think you might be right. I thought Landis only did the wraparounds. He didn't do the actual segments. Anyway, we'll look this up later. Yeah, so it was during the first segment, Equality of Mercy. No, you're right. Directed by John Landis. He's right. So it was his segment. Although I don't think it was his fault that this happened, but who knows?
Yes, it was. He was driving the helicopter. No, I got to stop slandering John. No.
I believe the problem was attributed to something to do with the stunt coordinator and stuff. But anyway, Landis did this movie. So he's done all these cool movies, but he did this movie in 1993, which is on brand for the time period that I've been given to do these movies, called Innocent Blood. Now, have you heard of this movie, Davan?
No, I haven't actually.
So it's one of my we like the group of friends that were here watching it. We had a ball watching this movie. It is fantastic. So Landis directs it. It's about a vampire played by the woman that played Nikita in the Luc Besson movie, La Femme Nikita. I can't remember her name, but anyway, she only targets bad people and sucks their blood. But when she sucks their blood, she like rips out their throat. It's very animalistic. Her eyes glow a certain color, and the eye colors change. It's very neat. But anyway, she targets bad people basically. So and particularly she targets a mob boss.
Dude, Cutler's going all in on Landis.
Sure is.
You can see anything on this.
Dave's done some extensive, apparently, detective work. Did his own research, if you will, on the internet to discover what really happened.
It was him.
It was all along. Okay, according to Wikipedia, the probable cause of the accident was the detonation of debris-laden high-temperature special effect explosions too near a low-flying helicopter, leading to a foreign object damage to one of the rotor blades and delamination due to heat of the other rotor blade. Separation of the helicopter's tail rotor assembly and the uncontrolled descent of the helicopter. The proximity of the helicopter around 25 feet off the ground to the special effects explosion was due to the failure to establish direct communication and coordination between the pilot, who was in command of the helicopter operation, and the film director who was in charge of the filming.
John Landis.
There
so
you
it
go.
did come back to John Landis. My
Sure.
God. He was right. Cutler was right.
Yeah.
Right. I want a t-shirt. Cutler was right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there.
Probably right.
Anywho, to finish my goddamn story.
No.
This vampire only attacks bad people. She targets Italian mob people. Well, she's trying to kill the Don, like the head mob person, played by oh God, what the fuck's his name? He's really kind of famous actor, and he's really good in this movie. Robert Loggia, that's his name. She gets interrupted and can't finish the job, basically. So he survives, becomes a vampire himself, and then basically starts turning his mob goons into other vampires to start building an undead sort of empire with the mafia. So she teams up with a cop played by Anthony LaPaglia at the height of his powers in the early 90s, and they try to stop him. There's appearances by Kim Coates, who's a Canadian actor, Don Rickles in a hilarious part. Frank Oz also appears in it. Angela Bassett, Sam Raimi, Tom Savini, Dario Argento has a very brief appearance. So it's fun. It's a very good movie. It's one of the, like, if you're looking for fun horror movies, this one is a really good one, and it's got some amazing practical effects. The vampires with their eyes are really really cool, and there's some great scenes when they get exposed to sunlight of them basically melting. Don Rickles specifically, it's amazing. Very, very cool. It's a cool movie. One that's certainly underrated, not a lot of people know about. I only discovered it because of Trailers from Hell, but it's amazing. Check it out. Well worth your time, and it's a really fun Halloween watch. Innocent Blood.
Let your remote take you there. All right.
What were you doing? Playing with matches?
All right. This one, I don't own it anymore. Well, I don't think I ever owned this game. I used to rent this game a lot. So let's take ourselves back to the Super Nintendo once again for 16-bit gaming with Super Nintendo.
All the way back?
I think we're going all the way back. So I'm picking this game for two reasons. One, because Billy Zane kind of rhymes with Zaladane.
Okay.
And also, we were talking about Khazar and Plunder. And his father ends up going by the name Plunderer. Or maybe that's his uncle. Anyway, his costume sort of looks like the costume that Billy Zane wore in the movie Phantom. You remember the Phantom?
I do remember Phantom.
So
I
the way
watched it not too long ago. I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh, well, there you go.
Also,
And
90s film.
There was a Super Nintendo game. It was called Phantom 2040, I believe.
Yeah, it's in the comics because the Phantom's a lineage that's passed down.
Yeah,
so it's the next person in the future that has it.
But
there was a cartoon, I believe. I'm almost sure there was a cartoon called that.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I probably watched it because I did like the game and the movie. So I like that movie. See, that movie's like, the way I feel about that movie is it's better than it should be, probably. It's just a kind of a charming movie. I liked it. And that's the way I feel about the game. Like, the game at first glance doesn't seem like it would be that great.
Mm-hmm.
Just another kind of movie ported onto a game for a quick buck. But there's like a ton of different gadgets you can use, and the controls are really good, and the graphics are really good. It says something when you go back and rent a game more than once. And I used to rent that game quite often. It's hard. As often as I rent it, I could never even get close to beating it. But yeah, check it out for all you Super Nintendo fans or people that can get Super Nintendo games through other means. Phantom 2040.
Legal means.
You know what? To add on to My Remote with Andre, check out the movie The Phantom with Billy Zane too.
It's a fun movie. It's got young Catherine Zeta-Jones in it. And for those of you who like obscure 70s English TV shows, it has Patrick McGoohan from The Prisoner. He's one of my favorite old shows too.
What are some essential university snacks, Andre?
Oh God, chips, I guess.
Yeah,
seems essential.
I'm
partial to Twizzlers.
Have some like edamame, steamed edamame.
Steamed edamame, Jesus. Celery's
edamame, man.
Celery's good.
Sprinkle salt on it. How do you make edamame? Get out of here.
I don't make it.
Bring on my cooks in segment with Davan. I'll tell you. Anyway, we don't have time for that. We have to revisit. We have a 2-part episode here. We're going to have a 2-part segment. We have to revisit something from last episode.
Oh Jesus, we're back to this.
So we're not doing it again.
Okay.
We were making a mutant last week, and I went back to check. We couldn't quite remember our other mutants we made. We knew Ladies Man, who is a mulleted, soul-patched fellow who is irresistible to women during.
He's living his best life, is what I got to say.
Yet repulsive to them at night. But also we have Essence, who is a red-headed, single-nostriled Canadian alien lady, half alien, half Canadian mutant, who has super strength and also has like scent powers.
Mm-hmm.
She can smell very well through that one nostril. And then last week we came up with a centaured kind of thing guy, but his body is not a horse or a bull or whatever a centaur is. It's a saber-toothed tiger's body with a human torso and arms and head on top of that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And he has X-ray vision. And so the reason we're revisiting this segment is we didn't name that guy. We have to name that character.
Chimera.
That works. I feel like that's been taken.
Probably.
It's not. It's a group of mutants Mr. Sinister makes. Let's call him Chimera. I like it. We have Chimera, Ladies Man, and Essence on our mutant team so far. I think this is comic book worthy. Andre's going to draw these eventually.
Chimera is an interdimensional pirate from an unknown Earth who first encountered Wolverine while she was gaining information on him and his feral, aggressive state. She assisted the self-styled heir of Apocalypse Genesis with Wolverine's capture, and Genesis wanted to brainwash Wolverine to be the first.
I got a new name then. New name for him because it's a Star Trek reference. We'll call him Cat's Paw. Because he has cat paws. Cat's Paw.
Yeah, but cats seem... I don't like it.
How about he has a double name? His name is Chimera Cat's Paw.
That's terrible.
I think we have to go with that. What?
Like Lion Claw makes sense. So like,
No,
something
he's
sounds
like-
more aggressive than Cat Paw.
He's like Bruce Banner or Peter Parker. He's Chimera Cat's Paw.
I'd say
Classic. It's a classic comic book name. What?
Lion Claw. You say his legs are lions? Is that what it was?
Saber-toothed tiger.
Okay, so Tiger Claw.
Is that not already something? All right, Tiger
Probably.
Claw. I like that name. That one works.
All right.
Tiger Claw. We'll call him that. I think Chimera Cat's Paw was probably better. but in the interest of...
I think, actually, in fairness, and we'll let this one slide as whatever. I'm pretty sure Tiger Claw's a female Batman villain, but we'll let
that's
slide.
it. No, we're settling it now. It's Chimera Cat's Paw.
The name is
Because
so.
we know for a
goddamn
fact
stupid.
that's not another character already.
No,
I
it isn't. It isn't. I looked it up. It's not. I'm fine. There's a
Okay.
Batman action figure that's called the
Fine.
Batman Tiger Claw. What's the name of that
Fine.
figure then? That character.
Tiger Claw.
Dave, do you remember she used to hang out with the Steel Serpent or the blind guy?
But
The
like
Serpent was hanging
how-
out with Robin.
But like how
She had a red
She-Hulk's
costume.
friends call her Shulky,
Mhm.
Tiger Claw's friends will call him Chimera Cat's Paw.
Okay, sure. If you need that to feel good about yourself,
I'm
you can
trying to
have
do
it.
right now.
All right, go for it. It's yours, my
All I
friend. You
need
earned it.
now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
Homework from Professor Zandre. Contact your
Whoa.
students.
I want you to read chapters 15 to 21 in your textbook.
Mhm.
I want you to prepare a 5-page essay on how the Russian Revolution changed the face of human society.
Mhm.
And I also want you to watch the next episode, which I had here but lost. It is The Dark Phoenix Part 1.
What if I don't have enough time
the
to do it
Dazzling?
today
Is it
because I'm
Dazzling?
watching the episode?
Is it The Dazzling or Dazzler?
Dazzled, I think it's called.
Dazzled, that's what it's called. So it is Dark Phoenix Part 1, Dazzled, in which I believe we see the introduction of Dazzler, which would
I
make
hope
sense, but
so.
not.
With a title like that.
Let me just double check that. So it's called Dark Phoenix Saga Part 1, Dazzled, in which we see, Dazzler does make an appearance, as well as Banshee makes her return, Moira McTaggart, and some new villains, including the Inner Circle
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Hellfire Club. Sebastian,
Let's get
Emma
real.
Frost, Mastermind, Donald Pierce, and Harry Leland,
Leland, yep.
who looks like Nigel Calder from the Doom Patrol. But yeah, it's interesting. Should be an interesting episode. I like Me to Hellfire Club. I like
Mhm.
they look like a bunch of modern day hipsters, which is fun. So let's see what they have to bring to the
Rich
table.
hipsters.
Pardon?
Very rich hipsters. But
Yeah, well, they dress like old timey in modern society, so they're hipsters.
So tell us, Andre, how's hiatus treating you?
Good. The play that I'm in that's kind of causing this is over at the end of the month, so I'll be back probably in November with new episodes, hopefully. And
I hope to be able to get down and see that play. We'll see how everything plays. out.
Oh, well, you gotta get some tickets, baby. They're
Oh,
going.
yeah.
They're flying.
They're hot.
I mean, I don't think they're that hot. I think you could probably get some if you wanted them, but it's looking really good. I went and checked out the guy that's doing the special effects. We're gonna post a few little pictures of some of it, not much because I don't want to give it away, but they look really good, man. They look really realistic, and I'm gonna look pretty horrific when it's all said and done. So pretty cool to see. And
Make sure you get lots of good pictures of that.
my brother's gonna come and take photos for the play. He's a photographer, so I think he should have some good stuff.
All right. Also, check out my podcast, Computers of Trek. We have a Treckle Trunk coming up on Sunday, where we're going to review 3 IDW Star Trek comics, Star Trek Klingons and Picard Stargazer issues 1 and 2. And on Friday, if you haven't had enough of me already in your week by Tuesday night, which is now, on Friday, you can catch my new movie podcast, Hold Up, a Movie Podcast, where I will pick 2 movies from the previous century, and myself and co-host Murphy will examine whether they hold up to some sort of modern standard that Murphy is more of a believer in than I am. So then he will pick a movie from the last 22 years, this current century we find ourselves in. And we will examine whether that measures up to some twisted, nostalgic standard.
Sounds like you have
quality that I believe in.
Sounds like you've already made your decision to whatever movies you're watching.
No, I haven't even watched them yet. Well, I watched The Tingler. So we're going to be doing The Tingler from 1959.
So you're picking the old movies and he's picking the modern movie?
Yeah, I love old stuff, man.
The Tingler was one of your choices?
Yeah.
Interesting. I get why.
I had never seen it. So I'm going to try to pick one movie I've never seen and one I remember fondly.
What's the modern day movie? You told me this already, but can you reveal this?
I also picked Matinee, and then he picked,
which I love. I love Matinee.
I think I do too. I used to love it as a kid, but I haven't rewatched it.
It's a fantastic movie. I watched it not too long ago, and it's really
awesome.
Stuff. It's fantastic.
Oh man, I loved that.
I loved your Dante movies.
The modern one's The Majestic.
Oh,
because we have a cinema theme. We're running on a theme in this podcast.
Well,
I think Andre will probably appear on this podcast more than once.
Well, let me offer an alternative movie that I always think is a good one to have as a double bill with Matinee, because it is a throwback to William Castle and those sort of gimmicky movies of yesteryear. I believe it was filmed in Canada. It's called Popcorn. So it's a horror movie about a dude who made a movie called Possessor way back in the day.
It's a horror movie.
It is, but it's a goofy one.
Well, let me stop you there. The next episode of this episode 2 of Hold Up is going to be close to Halloween. It's going to be horror movies. I'm having trouble picking ones to go with.
Oh God!
You should come on that episode, and you should choose your popcorn movie, and I'll choose.
Well, it really goes well with Matinee because and with the Tingler, it would fit more thematically into what you're doing.
It'll follow up. Either way, you should come on the
I really don't think it's going to be possible because I'm pretty sure it's when I'm on stage. You're doing it on Friday nights, right?
True.
If it's every 2 weeks, it'll be when I'm on stage, so I won't be able to do it.
It's every week.
Oh shit! Well, then I'm definitely going to be on stage.
We're a weekly show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I'll pop into an episode sometime when I can.
No, I'm wrong. We're not weekly. We're bi-weekly. You're right. We're every 2 weeks.
Yes, I believe you told me that before, which is what I was thinking.
Yeah, you are right. So you know what? Check that out. Check out Hold Up. It's a new experiment. I think it's going to be fun. I'll run a thematic thread through the whole thing.
The logo looks amazing.
It does, doesn't it? And we have other ones as well that I don't have loaded up here yet. Check out Live Long and Podcast. The brand Locutors of Trek now falls under. There's the Command Division with the reviews of all kinds. We have the Ops Division with Star Trek Radio Theater. Oh my God, I didn't even put my own division's logo up. But there's a Blue Division, and that's us. That's Locutors of Trek. We're the Science and Medical Division over there, and yeah. So what else we got to plug? Oh no, we have Super Mater Brothers. Check out that. They're doing their Survivor reviews right now. Check out Trivial Debates. Me and Andre are going to battle each other here in a couple weeks on Trivial Debates about Halloween-themed things we don't know about yet because host Jody hasn't sent us anything yet. Right. Jody, get on it. If you're watching,
Jody.
You're not.
I don't know you, but yeah, Jody said.
Get on it, Jody.
Jody.
Jeez. Yeah. So if you want to contact us, you can at Jaemeel, X-Men Review Show. You can support us on Patreon, like Jaemeel and Ryan and Daniel. Do it. You know what I mean? You don't have to, but if you do, we appreciate it. Oh, well, you heard Andre. He'll show up at your house.
That's right, with a gun.
Throw a sleeping bag inside and say, "What's for dinner?"
I'm not going to bring a gun.
You can follow us on the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find the audio-only version wherever you get your podcast. Please like, review, and subscribe. We'd love to get more reviews. People like us, but we could get some reviews and some subscriptions. That'd be awesome. And we are a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. Actually, let me bring that logo up. Look at that. There we are. A proud federation we are. All these podcasts we were just talking about belong to that federation. Anything else, Andre?
No, just hope everybody's still enjoying the show. It's a lot of fun. It's a big labor of love. Davin puts a lot of work into this, and not to toot my own horn, but I do as well, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping you guys are still digging it. And let's keep it rocking. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rocking. And just remember, be thankful.
Oh yeah, very thematic.
The nightmare is over.
Come on, sugar. Let's get you back to bed.
Let's get you back to bed, Andre.
All right. Sounds good.
Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time.
1, 2, 3.